What's the funniest way you've gotten revenge on a teacher? My math teacher, Mrs. Palmer, spent an entire year trying to fail me just because I was dyslexic, but she didn't expect me to become her boss's boss 20 years later. Back in high school, I struggled with numbers jumping around on the page. I'd mix up 6s and 9s, transpose digits, and sometimes entire equations would look like alphabet soup. But I worked twice as hard as everyone else, using special techniques my mom had taught me to keep up. Mrs. Palmer didn't care. She'd make me solve problems on the board, knowing I'd freeze up. She'd call me lazy when I asked for extra time on tests. Once, she even told my parents I was probably just not cut out for regular classes and should transfer to special ed. The worst part? She'd do this weird thing where she'd tap her long red nails on my desk while I was working, making this click, click, click sound that scattered my thoughts everywhere. When I asked her to stop, she just smiled and said, "The real world won't accommodate your special needs." I barely passed her class with a D+. At graduation, she smirked and said, "Good luck finding a job. Maybe try fast food?" Well, I went to college, got diagnosed with dyslexia, and finally got the support I needed. Turns out I wasn't stupid. My brain just worked differently. I graduated with honors in business administration and started climbing the corporate ladder. 20 years later, I'm now CFO at one of the biggest private schools in our state. Last month, I was reviewing teaching applications when a familiar name crossed my desk, Mrs. Palmer. She'd been laid off from her old school and was desperate for work. Her interview was scheduled for Tuesday. I made sure to wear my best suit that day. When she walked in, I saw the exact moment she recognized me. Her face went white as chalk. "Remember me, Mrs. Palmer? The kid who couldn't do math?" She started stammering about how she always believed in me, but I cut her off. "Let's do a little equation. You need this job, right? Your reference letter mentions you're behind on your mortgage." I pulled out a worksheet, the same one she'd used to humiliate me years ago. "Solve this. No calculator. You have 30 seconds. I started tapping my expensive cufflinks on the desk. Click, click, click. She couldn't even write straight. When time was up, I looked at her paper and tisked. "Wrong answer. Maybe you're just not cut out for teaching at our school. Have you considered fast food?" The look on her face was priceless. But here's the real karma. I hired her, put her in charge of teaching our remedial math program. Now she has to accommodate kids with learning differences every single day. Last week, I dropped by her classroom for a performance review. She was actually doing a decent job, helping a dyslexic kid understand fractions. I tapped my cufflinks on her desk until she looked up. "Nice work, Mrs. Palmer. Looks like you finally learned how to teach all your students. Your contract's renewed for next year." She started crying right there. Turned out her house was weeks away from foreclosure. As I left, I heard her telling that dyslexic kid, "Take all the time you need. Everyone learns differently."